Hello, welcome to the Verdure Addendum. So this video is going to be a guide specifically on how to play Verdure to the maximal effectiveness, and go over some of the nuances of playing Verdure. One of those being that it changes from island to island. So let's say you're on the winter map. If you're playing a Verdure, you'll get less trees than the regular amount, but you will get one more flower. You do also get an extra fish in the winter maps, so it's better to play them for fish than it is for trees. On a temperate climate like this, you just get, I'm going to call it the basic amount. If we look closely at the verdure, we'll see that there are 3 flowers on it and 9 trees total. If we get one of those flowers out to sea, it'll change into a fish instead. Same with the other one there, and then let me scroll down a bit so you can see the last one. So all 3 of these turn into fish. You can do this to get a few extra points than what's considered the maximum of hey, this is a 15-point verdure. Let me only put that flower out there, take a fish, and get 17 points overall. Now this is fine. It does get you more points right now, but it shoehorns your verdure to be alongside a coast and in a very specific orientation because you can't delete any of the trees by moving it too close to the side. Now, in other videos that I've played or some of my VODs, you'll see that deleting trees is a terrible idea because all of the buildings that will eventually scale off of it, Hermitage, Mountain Shrine, parks, those benefit from every tree or flower on the map. So if you get rid of one, it's 1 point away from any park that is in range, any mountain shrine that is in range, any hermitage that is in range. And that adds up to, well, I could do the actual math, but let's say it's around 10 point by the end of the game per tree. So you want to get as many of these things as possible. It's a great early game item because it is the building that is predicated on nothing else. Sure, if you look into Verdure, mountain shrines, hermitages, shamans, and statues all scale it. You can sometimes play these in range of a statue. Let's say your statue's up top. I'll get into why I'm going to be playing my, verdures up here in a bit. But if I were to play my verdures around a statue, I'd be able to get an extra 5 points, say if this flower was 1. And that could be worth it. But I don't want to play a shaman or a hermitage or a mountain shrine first, because those are all buildings that show up so much later that I would rather have my greenery set up so that my parks and my, I don't think there's any other early game items, but the blossom boon is another big one. Every tree that you have turns into both a flower and a tree, scaling the mountain shrine, the hermitage, the parks even more so, and it gives a +2 bonus. So we want to maximize verdure for trees. Okay, so before I get too far ahead of myself, let's go over how that works. You'll see that when I play a verdure, again, we've got the 3 flowers that are also fish. These flowers can scale onto walls, but trees cannot. So you'll see if I move this flower up here, it can go onto the wall itself, but as soon as I get a tree over there, it just deletes. It can't do that. So you can get a little bit tricky with your positions by putting a flower up against a wall, but none of your trees up against a wall to be able to get that 2-point flower with as many trees as you can. For example, I could do something like this, where my flower's up on a wall, but the rest of my trees are still there. Let me put it out of range. So this 15-point verdure is getting the most points possible while putting a flower onto a cliffside. Now, why would I want to put a flower on a cliffside? Well, because you're playing your verdures early on into the game, you're going to want as many points as you can to be able to open up your building packs so you have as many options as possible. Also, just high-scoring buildings work better, or will always be better. So maximizing your score is one thing, but playing your verdures, if you can take a point loss early to maximize trees, is better for the late game. So let's go up to this area right here. So you'll see that we have no flowers around the outside of this, area. It's going to be away from all of the residential districts that I build because I want to build them downside of where my wall platforms go, where my cliff houses go. So this is going to be strictly a green area. This isn't great because there's no natural spots for a hermitage that are bordering this, except for maybe down here. This seems more like a monument area. And the mountain shrines need to go up top. They need to be at the height of your area. So while I can circle this with verdures, it's not a perfect island generation. If I was trying to go for a really high scoring challenge run, or if I had the ability to re-roll this island, I would. It's still an alright island, and it's good for the purposes of this video. So let's say that I'm trying to put down a verdure in this area. Maybe I'll try a different area in the future. I'm going to make sure that I'm getting 15 points from it, because that means that I'm getting 9 trees without having to count them, and that my flowers are away from center mass, if that makes sense. So like one of the flowers is on the cliff. I'm never going to be putting a verdure in this area. It just doesn't happen. So then that means that I'm never going to have to worry about this flower that is down there out in no man's land. But the two flanking it are in pretty poor positions. Now, what's a poor position for a flower? Let's say if I move over to like this circle to play another verdure afterwards. Let me play this guy to be able to play around with where the flowers go. You can see how this one is already in range of that one flower. It means that I'm getting -5 points right there. Now, this is something that you can play around. You can either try to play for no flowers overlapping at all, or play for more trees in a more densely packed in area and overlap just one of the flowers, and that's it, and then twist until you find enough trees, or as many trees as you can in a similar area. So I'm not seeing very many, and that's a little bit difficult to map out here when I don't get to see all the trees at once. All of the trees and flowers after you play a verdure are always in static positions. So let me come down over to here. We can see that we've got a group of 5 trees to like the north of this rotation currently, and 3 trees to the south, with like the 3 flowers being in their regular triangular shape, roughly. That means that I would want to place something like this to be able to get all 15 points. Oh, that's something I'll have to go over in a bit. So this, verdure, I could place sideways right here to try to get in those 5 trees, and maybe rotate it up enough to get the other 4 trees to also spawn. But that puts me into the range of too many flowers in the center. It means that it's not the greatest building to place. So what I might want to do is save this verdure to go here instead, because it looks like it can line up to get all of its trees up there without having, any of the flowers hit the center. So let's undo this verdure. Place this one, because all of the trees are on like one north side instead of being on north and south. Let's try getting as many down in a different position as possible. Maybe here doesn't work as well as I'd want it to. If we pull it down some more, this gets the trees pretty spread out. Like you can see that it's getting me, there was a 17.1. I'll go over how this works in a bit, but this seems all right. I'm getting 5 trees up top, and then I'm still getting some amount of trees down below. I forgot to mention, lumberjacks also benefit from every tree that you place. That's yet another building that works off your greenery. So let me play a building down, or this verdure down here. I could maybe try to rotate it to get more of the plant matter up top. Now, it does, but it's taking up more of a central location. That can be a good thing, that can be a bad thing. You have to kind of feel it out whether or not you want your trees to be up against the corner of like a mountain or an area, or if you want them to be in the center. I'm going to place them in the center because I'm already planning on playing another verdure over here, in which I can probably get, another grouping of trees near there. Sure, it puts 2 down here and 2 flowers out of the way, but I don't really care about those positions that much. Before getting into playing this verdure here, let me bring you back to that like 17-point placement. So you'll see that this verdure is worth 15 right now, but I can make it worth 17 somehow. Give me a second to find it. There it is. So there's 1 flower inside of this spawn that like in the winter maps would be an extra, fish, or I think in the deserts maybe it's like an extra blooming tree or something. It's just an extra, of like that environment's type of greenery. In a temperate climate, that's an extra flower, but that flower doesn't spawn on regular ground because they don't want to give you the 15 points. It's kind of a catch-up mechanic for playing a verdure on a rock face. So like if I were to play a verdure, let me get it onto like just rocks. Can I even do that? Hold on. Here's probably a better place. They're a bit too steep angles to show properly. This might be good. So you can see that there's my 3 flowers. Where's the 4th? There it is. So this one that's appearing on the left top hand side, and the one on the right hand side are 2 different flowers. If I move this up a bit, maybe it'll show. Come on. There it is. There's the 8 flowers. So like playing them on cliff sides, they don't want to say like, oh, you're getting like only 3 flowers to place. We'll toss in a fourth one there. But if you're playing something on the ground, we don't want to give you 4 flowers and all these trees. That's too much greenery. But if you get really, close to a cliffside with your placement, where's that flower again? There it is. You can add it to all of the rest of the greenery. So I can get 17 points here instead of the usual 15. But those are really hard to place. Sometimes you can eke out an extra flower like this, but maybe you lose like a tree or two. It's something that you can keep in mind, is look for the hidden element by scanning it over some cliff face, or if you're in the winter area, it'll be fish. So let me go back over here. This one was the like north side and south side verdure, but I can try putting them all above like a specific midpoint. Let's put that over here. Now, if I put this set over here, you can see that there's a pretty big dead zone right here. I'm going to try playing this verdure with still there being like left enough space that I can play one more in this pocket right here. So you can see that these 2 flowers allow a circle to come like encroach in the middle of their 2 distances without touching either of them for a bit. You can also see that these 2 on this side do. So I basically create like a pocket for myself to put in another circle to try to densely compact my forest. So let's see what this verdure looks like. It looks like we're getting a line through the center that, what is it? We've got a middle north group with offshoot off to the, I guess it's like southwest. That's going to be pretty difficult to place, like trying to conglomerate the trees on one of the fringes of this circle, because I'm trying to get trees specifically in this grouping and in this grouping and not very much in the middle. So let's see, maybe something like, let's get it outside of the range of the flowers first, because it's easier to tell how many points you're getting total, or like how many trees you're getting just by seeing the number. Like 8 here, I can roughly estimate that that's like 5 or 6 trees. Not worth it. There's 9 total trees to be had. I want every single one of them. Let's look for a better one. That adds 2 points, but it's because of a flower. This adds another 2 points and a tree. So, 1 flower, 1 tree. This rotation, still nothing. And we're also putting trees down below, which isn't something that I want. I want to make sure that my trees are densely populated. So let's try moving this up a bit further and eat one of like the flowers as a -5 to gain a better verdure position. So this one, we're adding 3 trees to the right side and 4 trees to the left-hand side. 1 tree, 2 trees down below. So this is placing every single tree. This is normally a 15-point verdure, but it's getting a -5 from one of the flowers. This is, in my opinion, still a great placement to do. Now, I did get some boons that granted me extra verdures, so you're not usually going to have this many. Expect like 4 or 5 in the early game. What you can do is take verdure as your first building. That guarantees you to get 3 of them, which is great. Again, having more verdures early on is amazing. And then you take a second pack, and usually it'll give you like 1 to 2 verdures after that. Boom, you've already got 5 verdures. If you have verdure offered first, I think it's like a very, very easy pickup, especially because they offer 15 points at base. They're just like a really good starting building. Okay, so now where would I want to add more trees? So I've already got flowers covering like this pocket, so I can't place another set here. I've already got flowers covering this pocket, or like, I guess, this entire side now. So I'd be playing them on the other side over here. Sure, that doesn't keep my trees as congested, but I don't think I can add very many more trees without getting, like a large negative, because there's so many flowers in this area, and also having many of the trees not be able to be placed. Like, you can see how many of them turn red in that area because there's already trees there. I could try adding another one here just because there's only 1 flower in this range, and I could stack a few more trees in this area. Verdures can either be spaced out to grant like the maximal amount of points, like I did 1, 2, and 3 here, or they can be stacked on top of each other to grant more dense forests but less points. Because I've already played out some of this round, it's a bit hard to judge which one is better. Again, that's something you should leave to your intuition. But here, let me cut to when I've placed all of my verdures and show you what like blossoms and parks look like after you've made dense and packed forests. Okay, So granted, this is 8 verdures, so you're not usually going to have this many trees in one area or just like this many trees in general. But to give you a sense of how many points this is going to be worth, let's look at what a blossom is like. What do you mean it's 124 points? I've had blossoms before that are like around 60 or 70 because I've been playing verdures for their like 15-point maximums, making sure they're all spread out and nice. And that can be good for if you've got like a lot of space for parks all over the place. I think this might be a little bit better, especially because after we blossom, which I'm going to do this first, I'm just going to assume that you have a blossom boon if you're making like the island. You've got the 8 verdures to play, or like, let's see what the top end looks like instead of playing low point parks. I guess I could scan over just to show you that like even still without a blossom, these are going to be 30-point parks if we're playing them in the center. And it is kind of nice that you like leave a space like this left behind so that your mountain shrines can go up here. Usually the hermitages are too big, so without a shrink building, they're mostly going to be kept to the flanks. And if you have green wall platforms, I find that that's also a good use for them. Usually wall platforms you'll want to put in your residential areas, but if those have already been built up and you've got extra wall platforms, or like you've got a bargain or something, then yeah, it could be worth it to get like a 200-point hermitage instead of a 60.1. Hermitages could also be played beside your like wheat fields and hops fields, so like don't worry about hermitages too much. Do save space for mountain shrines, which this is definitely going to be the space for 2 of them. So let's get that blossom off. Let me find the perfect spot for it. Yeah, 126 points. Seems pretty good. And then we're going to go to look to see how much a park is worth in this area. 50-point parks? For me? For real? Isn't that crazy? How much these are all worth. Now, it does get really tricky being able to play these without bulldozing any trees. Skinny parks are great for that. Bigger parks aren't as good. See? What am I saying? 60 points. Now, granted, again, 8 verdures, and some of them were only worth like 10 points instead of your hopeful 15 or 16. I think it's worth it to take like an early brewing pack or like play all of your seaweed fields to get your points and keep verdures slightly lower scoring to be able to get something like this, you know? Let's see what a lumberjack looks like in this area, because I realized that verdures are the earliest game, lumberjacks are early game, and parks are mid game. And it's a good thing that parks are mid game, because usually you'll only encounter the blossom boon after you've gotten a boon or two, which should be in the mid game, or at least that is what it's like for the challenges that I'm running. Hey, look at that, another 60-point lumberjack. You're not going to want to put them up here because they'll be in the range of mountain shrines and parks, things like that, but getting your trees all in one area is going to be well worth it compared to just placing verdures where they're worth a lot of points.